right. Hey, what's up, Horror Headz? Welcome back to my channel. Welcome back to Bobby Likes It Spooky. And I'm back again to talk about Fear Street. This time we're talking about Fear Street Part 2, 1978. Last week I had my buddy Marco Estes to talk about 1994. And this week I have another good friend with me. I've been a huge fan of this person. Obviously, you guys know who it is because I've been promoting it and putting it all on socials everywhere. But I have my buddy Cameron Chaney here. Let me bring him up.
Hey,
Cameron.
everybody. Hey. Hello.
Cameron Chaney, you are book movie guy on socials. Cameron Chaney, Library Macabre on YouTube, where you talk about all things books, movies, spooky stories, and yeah, you just keep it all things spooky. Yeah. And you're also an author.
Yeah, I am. I actually have my book handy right here. This is my book, Autumn Crow. It's a short story collection. All the stories take place in the town of Autumn Crow, and they kind of intertwine. And it's like Halloween all the time in Autumn Crow.
Yes, I love it because I also own a copy as well.
Hey, you got it. You
I own a copy. Oh, of course. I mean, when you released this, I had to support. I had to pick it up. I actually took an Instagram photo along, but I forgot what I had Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark next to it because I recently bought that movie as well. So I said I got this book, that movie, and it was just a perfect Halloween treat for myself. And I must say, this is a fun book. If you love all things Halloween atmosphere and you just want to get that atmosphere of Halloween and spooky tales, and up to like 8 stories, right?
Yep, 8 stories. That's right.
Yeah, 8 stories. You're going to have a good time. You're going to have an excellent time with this book. I know I did. I have 2 favorites. But Cameron, I want to, before we get started with Fear Street, I do want to have you back on because I do want to talk about Autumn Crow.
Okay.
Yeah, like I want to go through some things. I have some plans. So if you're down to come back, we can talk about this.
Yeah, I'd love to.
Because I have some thoughts. So Cameron, thanks again for coming on here to talk about Fear Street. I've been such a fan. We've been friends on social media for a while, and like I said early before this video, you've always been a supporter of mine since I started everything, and this is just a cool moment to actually have you on here, and I'm just so happy that you agreed to come on to talk about Fear Street because I don't know, I'm just thank you again. Thank you again.
You're welcome, man. It's been cool to see your channel grow over the past, like, how long have you been doing this now? Like a year and a half, 2 years?
Yeah, 2 years.
Yeah. Very, very cool. Yeah, it's been cool to see your channel grow. Always love your background.
I try to change it up every now and then, but you know.
It's cool. It's really cool.
And it's crazy because I actually started my YouTube channel 10 years ago when I reviewed like 2 movies, and then I just wasn't feeling it. And I didn't know my whole aesthetic, so I just kind of shut it down. And then I came back to talk about my horror stuff just because I felt it was the right time. And I felt like I didn't really know what I was talking about back then. So yeah.
I feel about that sometimes too when I watch, like, if I look back on older videos, which I try not to, try to avoid it because it makes me cringe.
Oh yes.
But today's actually my 10-year anniversary on YouTube. So it's like, wow, 10 whole years. Where did the time go?
Yes, happy 10-year anniversary. I seen that video as well. And you had me cracking up when you was looking at your reaction of your first video, because I think that's how we all feel when we look back at our old work, you know?
Yeah, but it's cool to kind of like see how much my tastes have changed over the years, and in some ways has not changed a single bit. Like I'm still reading Fear Street and Goosebumps 10 years later, so I feel like I'm on the right track.
Rightfully so. They're fun and amazing. Like they're amazing books. Well, I can say about Goosebumps because again, I haven't read the Fear Street books, but with these movies already coming out and the third one coming out, I think I'm going to go back and dig into the books and read them and just have a good time because I feel horrible I feel like a horrible R.L. Stine fan because I haven't read the Fear Street books.
He's written over 300 books, so there's no way to read them all, but you should definitely at least pick up a couple. I can give you some recommendations of some Fear Street books to read.
Yes, that was going to be my question too. Like before this end, I was going to see if I can get some recs from you, just because I know the movies are a bit different from the books, but I know they added fun things from all over. So I'm excited. I'm definitely want to get those recs. Definitely.
Yes.
All right, Cam. So let's get started with this conversation. So obviously you did a small little video for 1994, viewing the new Netflix movie. So what were your thoughts for people that haven't seen that video that Cam did? I'm curious to know what were your thoughts on 1994, and were there any comparisons from the books that you've seen in the first movie?
Yeah. Well, going in, I've known that they're going to be making a movie for, it's been like in the making for 3 or 4 years. They actually made all of the movies 2 years ago, and then it's just been sitting on a shelf because it was made by Fox. And then of course Disney bought Fox, and Disney didn't want these movies. They're like, it's got R.L. Stine's name on it, and it's got all of this blood and guts and sex and which, like, we don't know what to do with this. So it's just been kind of sitting on a shelf until Netflix bought it. So the whole time, like, I've been curious to know like what they were going to do with it, because of course we got the Goosebumps movie, and while Goosebumps, both of the movies are good, solid movies, they didn't really feel like Goosebumps to me personally, which I know some people would probably some would disagree, but us hardcore fans who grew up on it were like, it's good, it's a good movie, it's solid, but it's not Goosebumps. It's
not Goosebumps, exactly.
Right. When I think of Goosebumps, I think the original TV show came the closest to the books.
Oh yeah,
because it just captured it, So, and then of course, Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark came out. That was pretty different from what I was expecting. Still a good movie, just different. And then it's like, and then Are You Afraid of the Dark? So we've got all of these reboots, and they're all very, very different from the source material. So I was kind of thinking they're probably going to do that with Fear Street. So it kind of helped me to prepare, I guess, to adjust my expectations. And then I heard it was getting an R rating, which made me really excited, because I love a good slasher. I mean, it doesn't matter how different it is from the books. I love a good slasher. I love a bloody, gory, disgusting slasher. So that made me excited that it was going to be kind of like aged up a bit for us adults who grew up on the Fear Street books originally. And of course, the Fear Street books, R.L. Stine put out a tweet saying that the books were PG, the movies are R. And I would kind of disagree with that. The books were definitely PG-13. They were definitely not PG, because the books had a lot of killings, lots of murders, blood and guts. Not a whole lot of blood and guts. It was toned down a little bit, just so that way younger kids could still possibly handle it. But it was, it was a little more violent, especially more violent than Goosebumps. But the movies, 1994, 78, definitely amp it all up. The books are very compared to the movies. So anyway, answering your question, going into it, my expectations were kind of adjusted, so I knew it wasn't going to be exactly like the books. Yeah. But I was surprised by how much I really did like 1994, because I thought, I was like, I'm probably gonna enjoy it as a movie, but it's not going to be Fear Street, and that's true. But it also, I feel, does capture that essence of Fear Street. Personally, from all the books that I've read like 50 Fear Street books. There's 150, so I've not read anywhere near all of the books. But it's not, a direct adaptation from the books, but it does take elements from the books. We got elements from the Cheerleaders trilogy from the Fear Street series. That's where a lot of the witch is possessing people, like in the Cheerleader series, which I'm wearing the shirt now. That's the first Cheerleaders book. That's where the witch is possessing the cheerleaders. So you do have elements of that in the movie. And then in terms of other elements, like they're very, very small. Like you have like the whole Good family thing, where you have Nick Good, the police officer. That's a reference to the Good family from the Fear Street books. which I
Okay.
don't want to give away too much about all of that because they'll probably go over that in the next movie since that goes back to like the 1600s. But so I won't go there yet. But that was a cool reference, and there were smaller references. But overall, like some of the killers they came up with, like the girl with the switchblade. I forget, it was like Ruby something. She's not
Ruby
from
Lane.
yeah, Ruby Lane. She was cool, but she's not from the books, from what I remember, unless she's from a book that I didn't read. But I'm pretty sure she is not ever referenced in the books. So there were a lot of liberties that they took with the source material. So it is different in a lot of ways, but I feel like the spirit of Fear Street is there. It's more like I just had to just keep myself open-minded about it. And the fact that I love slashers so much really helped me to appreciate the Fear Street movies because they're just really fun slashers at the end of the day, you know.
Yes.
Does that answer your question?
It does. And and that's
like
awesome.
I just
like,
on forever.
no, it was okay. And I loved it because when you truly love something, just like go ahead, I'll let you ramble. I do that all the time. And it's interesting because I didn't know, again, I didn't read the Fear Street book, so I didn't know like Ruby Lane was a part of it. For some reason I thought she was a part of the books, just because she seemed like a cool character. So I liked her a lot. So I said, oh, they have to use her in the book. You got a question, Ken? Do you have an actual Shadyville map?
Shady Side map. I was actually on eBay and I saw that somebody had listed for sale the 1996 Fear Street calendar, which comes with the Shady Side map. And I really wanted it because I've always wanted that since I was a kid. And the bidding started out at 99 cents and it ended at like $250. So I was like, yeah, it's not for me. It's not mine. Maybe one day it will be, but I don't have that kind of money right now. So I passed on it.
Oh, that's a good question. I would love one of those, but you said $250.
No, I love Fear Street, but it's not worth that much. Also, the map is online. You can look it up on Google Images. It's kind of low quality, but I'd rather just look at that than pay $250.
Oh yeah, same here. And maybe with this movie coming out, and maybe they'll release a whole bunch of other merch, and maybe they'll do like some special edition kind where you can get it for a reasonable price. I don't know.
Somebody needs to just do a high resolution scan and sell the prints, and I'd buy one. $20.
Yes. Oh yes, totally. $20.
Yeah.
Katie, yes, I am going to see the new Halloween movie. Of course, I have to. It's evident, but we'll talk about that next time. But I am going to go see that movie. You just have to.
Same.
But I agree. I love 1994. I am a huge fan of slashers. I had a good time. It was very nostalgic, and I was cracking up at your video because you were saying about how AOL didn't exist in 1994. It was made in 1997. So I was cracking up too because I didn't realize that, and I was like, oh shit, he's right.
Yeah,
it was still a fun little treat to see, though. It was kind of cool. It kind of took you back to the AOL chat rooms when you were a kid, chatting with friends and stuff. So it was a fun little nod to the 90s.
Yeah. And I was watching an interview with the director who did the movies, and she was talking about how Shady Side kind of feels like a snow globe, like it's separate from reality. Like everybody is in their own little ball, and they're stuck in this bubble. And the same cycles keep repeating over and over again, which is exactly what the books feel like. You read the books; they're pure pulp, and they do repeat themselves a lot. And it almost does feel intentional, like it's all a circle. And I was able, when I was watching the movie, to be like, "Don't take that too seriously. That AOL chat did not exist in 1994. Maybe it does in this little universe." To just kind of like withdraw my expectations a little bit there, and to I don't know what's that saying? I can't remember now, but to just not not take it so seriously. But it did kind of irk me when I first watched the trailer. I'm like, is that AOL chat? Are they playing White Zombie in 1994? Because that song's from 1995. And there were other songs too throughout the movie. I'm like, that's late 90s. But I tried not to let that bother me.
Yeah, the director was having too much fun, which is fine. You know what I mean? You know what? I would probably do the same thing. I'm like, oh, that song came out 2 years before, but who's going to know this? I love the song.
But it could have been easily resolved if they had just moved the movie to like 1996, because they were paying a lot of homage to Scream, which came out in 96.
Yep.
And a lot of the songs they chose were from the late 90s. And actually the fashion and stuff didn't really feel like 1994. It did feel more like later
90s. Yep.
Yeah. And a lot of like the makeup on the girls, like I'm like, that's pretty late 90s. So I feel like all they had to do was just say Fear Street 1996, and that would have solved everything. But
yeah, I wonder why they chose 1994. That's I don't know.
The only thing I could think is that Fear Street was at its prime in 1994. That's when the series was the biggest. That's when it was the most popular. And then all of the teen horror books of the 90s, if you pull off any book off my shelf from my like teen vintage collection and you open it up to the copyright page, odds are it'll say 1994. It's just like, that just seems to be the year. So that's the only thing I could think really that they chose 1994, is just because it was such a big year for teen horror.
Yeah, I guess that makes sense.
Yeah.
Because that makes a lot of sense actually. Because when I was watching this, and like you said, they could have went 1996 or 97, or I watched this now. Said it should have been Fear Street 1998. That was the peak of the year for 90s slashers. That makes sense as well. That is true. We could have got away with AOL chat room and a lot of those songs being played. So, but what I love most about 1994, it was just like the homage to Scream. I've seen a lot of references towards horror movies. I've seen a little bit, obviously Scream, even Hellraiser. People was looking at me crazy like Hellraiser. I said, the part where they are in the bathroom and they blow up the killers and they in that goo and it starts to form again. It kind of reminded me of Frank from Hellraiser when he was forming from under the floorboards. Exactly. And I said, well, maybe I'm reaching too much because horror fan, but I don't know. Maybe.
Well, when we start talking about 1978, there were some bits of the score that reminded me of The Omen. So maybe that's reaching a bit, but I was hearing it. I'm like, this sounds like The Omen. So some people would say I'm reaching too much there, but it sounded like The Omen to me.
You know what? I want to listen to more or see more interviews with the director, because maybe she'll give us some of the tea on what's going on, her thought process in making these films and stuff.
Totally. I want the dirt. I want her to talk about everything.
Same.
I want to know what she read, especially. Like, I want to be like, tell me more about what inspired Ruby Lane, and I want to know like what books she read to prepare. Like, she said she's a fan of the books. I want to know, like, did she read them religiously when she was a kid? Like, I want to know all of that. I want to see her nerd out of Fear Street for a while.
We gotta get you that interview with her again.
Yeah.
So before we move on to 1978, because that's why we're here, what were your thoughts when 94 finished? Because the biggest shock was obviously the final act with Kate and Simon, their deaths. We weren't expecting that, and how gory it was, and how, it was just unexpected. You watching this movie thinking like, all right, they're going to survive because they made it to, they made it this far in the film, right? And you were like, all right, they're doing this, they're doing that, they're gonna be fine. And when Kate's death happened, my mouth was literally like, it dropped.
Me too.
I was just like, what?
I've seen a lot of stuff. I've watched a lot of slashers, but for some reason, I don't know, up to that point, it just felt kind of safe. And I just assumed, well, they're all going to make it out of it. Like, if anybody dies, it's not going to be a main character. It'll be some side character that gets killed off. They're okay. when her head started getting close there, I'm like,
Mm-hmm.
it's gonna come and save her. It's gonna be fine.
Me too.
Then they set up that wide shot, that sideways shot, and she's going in. I'm like, oh shit. That was good. That was good. It got me. It really got me.
Yeah, same here. Like when you said when they set up that wide shot, I said, all right, they're going for it. They're going for it. But maybe they're going to change it. Like my mind was literally like playing ping pong back and forth because I didn't want them to do that because she was like my favorite character.
I like her. Yeah.
So, I think it was Josh and then her. Just because Josh, he was very informative. And I was saying this to Mark last week on talking about it. He reminded me of Mike Hanlon from the Stephen King's It novel.
Yeah.
Because when he had all the information, he knew everything about Derry and he had all the info. So he reminded me so much of that character, and I loved it so much. So I said, "Oh, Josh," and I was scared for him too because when they got Kate and got Simon, and the skull mask killer was like chasing after him, I said, "Oh no." Help your brother, let her drown.
Hey, there's still 1666, so who knows what's gonna happen?
Yeah, right.
After I think anything can happen. So we'll see.
Oh yeah. All bets were off. When I seen that, I said, all right, 1978, they're going to go there because if they killed those two characters just like that at the end of the movie, I'm like, the next movie is going to be insane. And indeed, it was. It was a lot going on. It was an epic scene, Cammy. All right, so let's get into 1978. So watching this, I didn't really know what to expect, but I was super excited because we have the actress from Stranger Things in this movie, Sadie Sink, who I love, and I just love how strong her character is, even though she kind of came off as like bratty, but I understood why. If you was to compare Ziggy, which is Sadie's character, versus Dina from the first one, I guess in this one too, because she's going to be in all three films. I'm more with Ziggy. Dina did some things that really bothered me in the first film.
Yeah.
She rubbed me the wrong way a lot, Kim. She is a strong character, but I'm just like,
she's flawed.
I don't know. Yeah, deeply.
Yeah, she's very, very flawed. That's okay. I like a good unlikable character, and then I also like characters that you can root for but aren't perfect, where you can still kind of question what they do, because I'm like that for most people in life. I'm sure I am the same way. You try to be a good person, do what's right, but you still screw up. So I feel like she was that way. She definitely did things that I wouldn't agree with, but whatever. She felt more human, I guess. But Ziggy, I agreed with it more because she felt more like a kid, I guess. So she did that. And also people are saying all these horrible things to her while she's at camp. And after a while, when people treat you that way or call you horrible things enough, you kind of start to just become it. It's like, well, if you think I'm this way, then I'll give it to you.
Yeah. I will say you're right. Like I relate more with her because as a kid, I was bullied to a certain extent, not like really badly, but where I was just bullied to a point where it was people didn't believe me, blah 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 blah. And sometimes it brings up an anger in you where you kind of like fuck the world. You know what I mean? Just like screw it. You're just mad at everybody. Mom, brother, sister, dad, whoever. So that's why Ziggy didn't really bother me too much because I related with her just a little bit. And like all these people are assholes towards her. Like from the very beginning, when she's running through the woods, and then first of all, how she was knocked down was just that was too much. They didn't have to do her like that. And then just like saying she's a witch and like trying to burn her. It was just that was extreme. And I'm just like, what is all this for? What did she do to get all of this type of attention,
$10. She stole $10.
Right. Well,
That's it.
She didn't do it. She was possessed by the witch. So, but we still going to burn her.
Right. Yeah. No, hit her in the nose like that, I felt that in my face. I'm like, ow, man.
Dude, I'm just like, I haven't been even hit like that. That was too much. I'm just like, yo. Yeah. But what I love about 78 too is just the whole environment. It gives us that whole camp, it seemed realistic, like the whole campiness of whatever. It took me back to when I went to camp as a kid in the summertime. It didn't look anything like that, but being around a whole bunch of kids and having a good time and playing games, being on different teams and stuff like that, it took me back. But minus the mean kids too, because I don't think I had to deal with that. My counselors was pretty strict, so
yeah, I went to camp too. I actually did look along. I had cabins, and there was the lake, and I was like, "Dang, this looks a lot like the cabin." Like, it wasn't a long summer. It was like it was more like a field trip with my class. But we did stay for a few days, and it kind of brought me back a little bit. I was bullied too, like you were saying, which I think is why I relate so much with Ziggy. And I did actually encounter some of that while at camp. So I'm like, with her all the way throughout the movie, I'm like, yeah, same way. Just you're angry, you hate everything. So I related. She's also a really great actress too.
Oh yeah, she's great. She's great. I will say when she first appeared on Stranger Things, she pissed me off because I'm just like, no, you don't come into this friend group acting that way. But she grew on me, and I grew to love her. And then seeing her in this, she's super talented. I love her.
Totally. Yeah.
But we're introduced to these insane characters. So obviously, this is going to be a spoiler video. So from the first movie, we're hearing this mysterious voice over the phone talk about C. Berman. So obviously Ziggy Berman. So everybody's thinking, all right, that's not obviously C because her name is Ziggy, but her sister name is Cindy Berman. So I'm going into this movie thinking that C. Berman when she was smaller, Cindy Berman. So did you think that as well, or did you put it all together?
Kind of set it up at the end. It was a surprise that was the same person, but I was like, well, I kind of already knew that from the trailers. So I wasn't surprised. And you still know, like, she died because they talk about that in 1994, that she died and was resurrected, and then that's what broke the curse. So she's gonna die, but still at the end of 1978, like when they're being murdered, I'm like, whoa.
I'm like, how can see that was my thoughts too. And I think that's what gave it away for me, because I was like looking at both of them. I said, all right, they both getting cut up, shanked up, chopped up. And I'm like, all right, but who's getting the less like stabbings and stuff, which was Ziggy, because there's no way you could come back alive after getting an X through the chest. There's no way. So I said when that scene right there happened, I said, all right, it had to be Ziggy, and somehow that's just a nickname or whatever, because it's like Ziggy was just getting stabbed on the side and stuff like that with the milkman killer or whoever that was. And with Cindy, I was just like, there's no way. Like, she's getting chopped up, like she's getting X. There's no way he can be brought back alive from that. So
well, she'd been chopped 20 times and she's still conscious. I'm like, how are you not dead?
Oh yeah, she was still talking. I'm just like, girl, I probably would have been dead after the first chop.
yeah It's like right in the heart too. It's just one after the other. I'm like, just go ahead and die. Okay. Put yourself out of the misery. Just go ahead and die.
I know we jumped for all the way at the end, but I just had to get that out the way because I like what they were trying to do, and they did get me. Like you said, they didn't get you, but they did get me for a while, because I'm like, all right, like, unless she changed her name to like her sister name just because she loved her that much, then whatever. But I don't know. But they got me. Watch this now. It says Cindy's death was the most brutal. Yeah, because we've seen it. But one thing about this movie too is that you see a lot of the deaths, and you actually see when the X hit them. They don't cut away really. like maybe I think two of the counselors after one of the girls. I think her name is, let me see right here, because I'm so bad. There's so many people in this movie.
Yeah,
I forgot. I don't got it, but she's one of the older counselors, and she was obviously having sex in the bed with the dude. And when she got killed, you actually see the ex just like hit her. It was like no cutaway shots, and I'm just like, bro, this is a lot.
yeah. You feel the impact of each hit, which, I mean, even if you watch like Friday the 13th and stuff, they show most of the kills, but I don't know. This one felt a little more realistic, I think, with the way that they were killed. It's like Friday the 13th is a little more like, you know, it's they show it, but it doesn't look so real. But this just like it felt a whole lot more brutal.
Yes,
felt those chops.
Oh yes, totally. Yes, her name was Joan, and the other one was Alice. Alice, okay. I wasn't liking Alice too much. I got a picture of Alice. Wait, hold on. I thought I had a picture of Alice. Oh yeah, I do have a picture of Alice. Where are you? Here she goes. So I didn't care for her in the beginning too much because I already knew that she was going to be like the rebel and just kind of just doing the most and just an unlikable character. But kind of like Dina, I grew to like her. Yeah, I grew to like her, and especially when she was having that conversation with Cindy when they were down in, you know, underground, and she was talking to Cindy of like how much she changed, because obviously Cindy is putting on this whole persona, which I want to know more about. I want to know what Cindy was like before she turned into this new person. And I feel like Alice was true to herself, and she was just this badass, and I liked her a lot. But when her death happened too, same thing like how Joan got it when she got hit with the X. They showed it, and I'm just like, bro, so good though, so good. How did you feel about Alice?
Alice, I mean, of course, right away, I didn't like her. They kind of set you up to not like her, and but at the same time, like I didn't dislike that I didn't like her, because you kind of not like her. If that makes any sense. Like I said, I enjoy an unlikable character. They don't like annoy me. I'm just I kind of go with it. Because I watch a lot of slasher, and most characters in slasher movies aren't very likable.
Annoying. Yeah,
it can be pretty annoying. It's part of it. It's part of the fun. So I like that she was like that until the end, and you said that conversation where she's like, "We all have our ways of dealing with shady side," and I thought that was pretty cool. They know they're all cursed. They're all tragic. They all have a lot of shit they're dealing with, and this is just how she is dealing with it through being mean to everybody and the drugs and whatever else. That's just how she's coping. It may not be the healthy thing to do or the right thing to do, but they're cursed and there's nothing they can do about it. And obviously they were all murdered. So there's not much you can do.
That's true. And that was another thing that was confusing to me too. But then I had to realize, like, oh yeah, I keep forgetting Shady Side is cursed. So when Tommy gets possessed, I was wondering, like, why him? Everybody, like, why that character specifically? I actually still do wonder why him out everybody. Like, I know the witch targeted him, but like, why? You know? But maybe we'll get that explanation on 1666.
Maybe.
You think?
Yeah, I was wondering that too, because with the character in the first movie, I forget her name, the girlfriend, she was possessed.
Sam.
Sam, because she bled on the grave, and then Ziggy was cursed because she bled on the hand bone.
The hand.
So, but he didn't actually bleed on anything, at least not that I saw. So I don't know either, really. But there is, like you said, there's still one more movie.
Yeah, so maybe there's some type of bloodline connection. Cammy said he was a virgin. Maybe that's why. Well, maybe.
Was he a virgin?
True. I mean, I think so, because I think Alice was saying something about when she was arguing with, what's her name again? Ziggy's sister, Cindy, when she was arguing with her, she was saying something about like your sweet version boyfriend or whatever. She did throw that in there. So I don't know, maybe that's why. Maybe the witch is targeting versions, but that's kind of weird. So maybe there's some type of bloodline situation happening in the world. I don't know.
He could be a good or related in some way. Well, I guess we had Nick Good as one of the counselors, so that wouldn't be it. Or maybe he is a fear. I don't know. We'll have to wait and see.
Yeah. Ryan Murphy. Oh, director and creator of American Horror Story. Joking. The witch makes the nicest people into killers. They said how nice he was. So I mean that could be a thing too. Maybe like people with the purest hearts, maybe they just turn them because they're more vulnerable. Kind of like how, and I guess demonic, those demonic possession movies, every time a demon possesses somebody, it's usually an innocent person, like a child, because they have the purest hearts. So that is a good, I like that. So that could be the reason why. Maybe he was the nicest person in that camp.
Right.
I liked it. They also say how the other killers were. And versions usually get to be final characters, so maybe my theory is way off. In this movie, anything goes.
Yeah.
Look, kids got it in this movie, okay? That's how brutal it was.
Yes.
Little kids got it. Kids, I'll probably say that's under 13. So
a whole cabin.
Yes. Okay, so Tommy, watching this movie, I didn't know that he was the killer up until the point where, I mean, sometimes when I get invested into a movie, like my brain just forget about like the movie before. So even though he was attacked in the office by Nurse Lane, which is Ruby Lane's mother, which was this cool like pullback, because it's like, all right, so you got somebody that's involved in this mess, and you got the mother. Her daughter was obviously possessed, so I like how they added her in there. And she was trying to kill Tommy because she found out that, I guess, that he's a part of the witch's tribe. I'm gonna just say witch's tribe because obviously in her lair is all these damn names, so she's creating this whole damn world of killers. So the nurse was trying to kill him because of that reason. But it didn't really hit me until Cindy, Alice, and her boyfriend, they were all trying to find a lair because they were just being stupid teenagers. So they're like, oh, here's the book. Let's find the witches, thing. And when Tommy was going with them, he pulled out that red, like checkered, like plaid or whatever jacket that he was wearing. I said, he's the Sackhead killer, the X-Men or whatever, the Nightwing killer. That's what he was.
Yeah.
Which is a nod to Friday the 13th Part 2 because the Sackhead Jason, which is awesome. So I didn't know that. That's when I realized that he was the actual killer when he put on that jacket right when they were leaving out. I said, all right, he's going to get possessed. They're going to get him. But what did you think about Tommy? Like, how did you feel about that character overall?
He is cool as a character. Well, the thing is, like, the whole time I'm watching it at the beginning, I'm like, this guy kind of looks creepy. There's something about his eyes.
Yeah.
So I was like, he's kind of creepy looking. And then as it started going, I'm like, oh, they're going to make him the killer. That makes sense. Why they chose someone who kind of has those creepy blue eyes.
Yeah.
So I was like, okay, cool. Yeah, he's the killer. And yeah, I mean, as for him as a character, like, you don't really get a whole lot of him as a character. But I like him as a killer. I thought he's cool. He's kind of big, so he fits the role. I love how he gets the sack when Ziggy's fighting him in the cabinet, and she pulls that sack over his head. I was like, yeah, that's awesome.
Got a picture here.
So cool. That was so cool.
Dope. Yeah. And I wasn't expecting that.
I love an axe killer. I love a killer with an axe. That's like one of my favorite things. So yeah, I liked it. I thought he was cool.
Same here. In the first movie, he was out of the three, the skull mask, the Nightwing killer, and Ruby Lane. Out of the three, I was scared of him the most just because he was more aggressive.
Yeah.
Like he was just like, it was just like how he walked, how he had like no remorse swinging the X. It was just so natural to him, and it was just terrifying to me. So I was so excited for this movie because of that reason as well, because that was the character I was scared of the most in 1994, so I knew we was going to get more of him in this one. And to see kind of like how Tommy became the Nightwing killer was pretty dope, and how he got the sack over his head and it just kind of like molded to his head or whatever, and he just became this killer. I'm just like, okay, this is it. I love it so much. But he was aggressive in this movie. No kid was left unharmed, really, unless you got on that school bus.
Yeah.
I felt bad for the poor little kid with the glasses.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, I was just like, this dude right here. I was just like, poor buddy. Like, why do you have to do him like that?
Yeah. The funny thing is, like, when I went to camp, that was me. Like, I looked just like him, except for the glasses. So, like, I saw myself. I'm like, yeah, I would have been axed. This is the first one to go. Great.
I was a meaty kid too in camp. I was pretty like a chunky kid. My weight fluctuated back and forth. To this day, is still doing the same thing. Never changed. But I felt so bad for him. And then also the other kids, those two kids that were in there. It was just, I'm like, yo, if children just get in it, Fear Street is taking it there. And if this movie was to come out in the 80s, I mean, I feel like kids got killed in the 80s and like 90s in horror films, but it was done not in this way. And even though this way was still done tastefully, like you didn't see him actually being murdered, but because you just know what happened. But I feel like in the 90s and a little bit of 80s, they kind of just, they were scared to go there because they know they would probably not get a good rating for their film. So
yeah, a lot of stuff that they showed in these movies would not have made the cut back, even in the 90s.
Oh, yeah.
They would have cut out. Absolutely.
Oh yeah. Yeah, definitely. So yeah, those scenes were very insane to me, and I want to see more of that. I'm curious about 1666, but we'll get there.
Yeah.
So who was your favorite characters in this movie besides Ziggy? Because I know Ziggy is obviously the main character, and we stated that we loved her. But who did you like outside of her?
I really liked her sister, Cindy.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I thought she kind of felt like a Fear Street character to me because I've read so many books. A lot of the characters they're kind of goody two shoes in a way in the books, but they're still really strong, determined characters. Yeah. Obviously, she is when she's like she hears Ziggy being attacked and she's like kicking her legs up against that crate. Like she's like anything to get to her sister. She'll do anything. So, and I mean, she even like totally sacrificed herself for her too. So, and she felt very much like a Fear Street character. I just liked her, and she's obviously trying her best to be her best and trying hard to break whatever curse that is over the Shady Siders. She's like making her best effort, and I thought she was a really good actress too.
Yeah,
I really liked her. I cared about her.
Yeah, she was a great character. I liked her a lot too. I thought she was going to be Miss Goody Two Shoes, and even though she was, it still didn't come off like she was trying too hard, which I actually loved about her. And like you said, you hit the nail on the head with when you said how she was trying to save Ziggy when she heard her being attacked, and she did anything in her power to help her sister. Where with Dina in the first one, it was kind of there, like your brother's about to be murdered, but you still focus on drowning your girlfriend, even though she's going to die anyway. Like my first instant reaction, like, yeah, I'm trying to do this, but I'm going to go help my brother because that's my brother.
Right.
So
she didn't seem to care about her brother very much.
No, and I'm just like, no, you gonna let him get stabbed up by the damn mass killer? Where with Cindy, she was just like, oh no, I'm going to help my sister. She pretty much sacrificed. Well, she did sacrifice herself for her sister, and that's what I love. And then I think that's what got my heart a little more with Cindy, because she did that. Because I would do the same thing for my siblings. So I do love Cindy for that reason. Cindy's character development was A+. Definitely was. I loved her a lot. Alice, I didn't want to see Alice go. She became another favorite character just because, even though she got my nerves in the beginning, but I just like how badass her character was, and she just didn't give no like she didn't have a care in the world about things. So
Yeah,
I liked her a lot. But everybody else just kind of, I don't know. Like the counselors bothered me. The one dude that was having sex with the girl, like he was just, you could just tell that he loved his job too much.
yeah.
He loved it a little too much.
They're all camp slasher characters. You know, they're there to be picked off. I'm okay with that because it's just means they're there for a body count. I love a body count. You know.
Oh yeah.
But there were, you know, those few characters where when they die, like you feel it in your heart.
Oh, yeah. Cammy said Dina is self-centered, but she was proud of him when he ordered a pizza on his own. True. That was the first time I seen a smile on her face.
That was funny. And I relate to that too because I'm a brother of 6. Like I'm one of 7 kids. So whenever like my little brother, which he's 18 now, so he's not little anymore. But whenever he like makes dinner or something, and I'm like, I go home to visit, and I'm like, you made that? He's like, yeah. I'm like, how old are you again? You forget. You ordered that pizza? Okay. Wow.
That's great. Yeah, it's just me and my sister. I'm 6 years older than her. She's like 26 now, or whatever. And to this day, like obviously I'm big brother, so I still like the little things that she does. Like I still like, oh, I'm proud of you, or whatever. Like I just have that. It's my little sister, so I always call her my little big sister, just because she's my little sister, but she's doing big things or whatever.
My older sisters call me their little big brother because I'm little brother, but I'm bigger than everybody else.
Oh, that's so awesome. Oh man, but you say you 6? You're 6 out of 7. You said?
I'm in the middle of 7, so I have.
You're in the middle.
How many younger ones do I have? Yeah, so I have 3 younger ones. That's what I meant to say, and then I have the older ones. Yeah.
Wow.
It's a big fan.
Big fan. Yeah, I love it. That's awesome. A lot of fights, I'm sure.
Not really with me so much. I'm very chill.
Yeah.
But my there are certain siblings that fight a lot, that clash heads because they're too much alike.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
You remind me of myself. I'm the same way. I'm more like laid back and chill. My mom and sister are just like, nah! And I'm just like, why can't I just talk it out?
Right. That's me.
Oh man. But yeah, all these characters in the movie, they definitely was like expendable. Like a lot of them was just there to go. I was laughing when they played the prank on a girl.
Yes.
Inside, because she was such a bitch. Like Sheila, I think her name was. She was like so mean, and when they pulled that track, you know, that joke on her, and had all the insects falling on her, and she was like freaking out. I say, good. I love it.
As soon as I saw her like going into that restroom and there are like the flowers around, I'm like, oh, here it comes. They got her. They set her up good, man. That was awesome.
I love it. Ryan Murphy says, what did you guys think of Nick Good? He really disappointed me in the end. I agree. I thought that he was going to eventually start believing Ziggy, especially with all the things happening, but for him to kind of just like sell out just because he wanted to be this, you know, it just, he rubbed me the wrong way. And, you know, seeing where he's at now just makes me dislike him even more. So,
I mean, it's part of the story, and I get why they did it. That's going to come into play a lot more in 1666. I feel like the two will probably reconcile, or he will end up sacrificing himself in some way to save the adult Ziggy, or something. I don't know what's going to happen there, but there's definitely more to that story coming, I'm sure.
Oh yeah.
So yeah, it did rub me the wrong way, but it's, you know, it's supposed to. That's part of their arc. I think we're only just like halfway there when it comes to their arc.
Oh yeah, I agree. Because with the first one, I said there's more to this character, and then when they introduced him as a youngster in the camp, I was like, okay, they're building something here. But that's what I love that's what I love so much about Future, because a lot of people that I seen gave 1994 a hard time because they were just like, a lot of people said they felt like something was missing. This and that, or they felt rushed, or it just wasn't good. And I would love to argue with everybody, but I can't do that. Because I love 1994, but I had to keep reminding people this is a trilogy. It's so much more to the story that's going to keep adding to it. So that's why when I rated the first film on Letterboxd, I gave it. I'm usually generous with my reviews because I don't really take it that serious. It's just whatever. But I gave it like a 4. But I said I'm going to go back and review it like a 4 out of 5. But I'm gonna go back and review it once I see all 3 of them, because sometimes sequels, it matters, and it depends on how I feel about those movies and determines how I felt about the first one later on. Same thing with 78, and I feel like 78 made me like 1994 a little bit more because of some of the tie-ins, which I loved. So yeah, I'm going to wait until I do like a full rating after viewing all 3 of these films.
I agree.
Oh, go ahead.
Yeah, I totally agree. Like, everybody who was being really hard on 94, I'm like, be patient.
Yeah.
You're not seeing the whole story. It's like a TV show. It plays out like a show. And I mean, everybody's so used to like instant gratification now, but this is very much like when we were kids and shows would come on TV and you had to wait a week for the next episode to come on. So it's kind of that feeling, and I really like that. So it's like you do have to see the whole story through, because watching just 1994, you're just getting the beginning. And even the director said that, and one of her interviews was like, it's just the first one. There's still a whole lot more of the story to come. So it's more like just being patient, waiting to see the others, and then making up your mind overall, which is what I'm trying to do. And I think it helps me to just enjoy it more and not be like, well, I need all the answers right now. It's storytelling, and I like the suspense and waiting to see what's going to happen and guessing, because that's part of what's fun about it, is like what we're doing, discussing the movie. It's what makes it more fun, and then you get to see what actually happens. So I think it's cool that it's replicating that whole feeling of how TV used to be, watching Buffy every week. What's gonna happen in the finale?
And this is another thing I argue with people about, because a lot of people now, like, we're so spoiled with just binging everything because we get all the episodes at once, like on Netflix. And what I'm happy that Amazon Prime is doing, and like Hulu, they're starting to release their episodes weekly. And I love that because it builds anticipation. I miss that feeling. And it's smart, because if you binge something, people's going to talk about it for like 1 or 2 weeks, and then nobody's talking about it no more because you watched everything. Where if you get a new episode weekly, it keeps the conversation going. It's fresh in your mind, and it just keeps people talking about it, like what we're doing now. And I miss that. You know what I mean? I keep telling people that it's like, yeah, binging is cool. I'm not saying that it's horrible, because when I have downtime and I like to chill, watch TV or whatever, and I want to watch an old show, I binge it. But when we're getting new content like this, I want to get it weekly, because I want to look forward to something, you know what I mean, on a Friday night, or just to be excited again. It's just, I love that feeling. That's how it felt when we were kids in the 90s and early 2000s. We had to wait for our shows, like you mentioned, with like Buffy and like Goosebumps, and just all our favorite shows. We had to wait for. And yes, it's draining because you have to wait, but that's what makes it fun. I love it.
Yeah, me too. Completely agree. 100%.
And Ben said there was whole scenes that take place under her house that they never mentioned, that are wallowing in waste. Yes, that part had me cracking up too, where they were obviously in that lair / the sewage, whatever. And I was laughing at Ziggy when she found out that her sister and and Alice was down there. And she said, "You need to help me get my sister out of the toilet." And I was like, "What?"
Right. And
she said something about my sister being in the toilet. Right.
And then they did end up referencing at the end when the two unite and they give each other a hug, and Ziggy's like, "You smell like shit." She's like, "I'm covered in it."
I'm covered in it. I love that moment, because it's just like funny. You see their sister like bonding moment right there, and I was like, oh, and it was legit funny. I loved it.
Yeah.
It was so good. Speaking of that kid, the other kid, he was that was helping Ziggy, Halloween 2018. Which I was just like, oh, I remember how he played Oscar, the one that got impaled on the gate. This was great. Yeah, that was dope. And which I also love, full circle, even though it's not the same movie, but still in that same world. When we're introduced to him, even though he's with the other characters inside the lunchroom, they're playing "Don't Fear the Reaper."
Yes,
and that's obviously on the original Halloween. So I'm just every time I hear the song, I get chills because I love that song so much, and
it's one of my favorite songs of all time.
Yes, and when I heard that on there, I was just like, "Oh, this is awesome!" And he's on Halloween. It just everything was just felt great. It set the mood right for me. I loved it.
Yeah, as soon as that song came on, I'm like, yeah, it's my song.
Every time I hear it, I could be watching a random show and that song come on. I remember watching Orange is the New Black, and there was that song came on at one scene when somebody got like ran over by the car, and it was just kind of like a metaphor to that character, and I'm just like, awesome. I love it. So good. Anytime that song is used, I just go crazy. Yeah. Oh, Watch This Now said, on first watch, I thought 1994 was a stronger film that haven't seen both twice. I love 1978. Looking forward to seeing the conclusion, see how it's all connected. Same here. Can't wait. 1666. Obviously in the previews, we get to see some of our characters from the first movie and this one back. So I wonder what's going to happen on there, Cam. Like, what are your thoughts? Like, what do you think is all going to happen? Because we obviously get our characters from both films, I guess, playing other characters in that world. So,
well, I have read the Fear Street Saga, which is another trilogy in the series that goes back to 1600s, 1700s, 1800s, and I think it ends at 1900. And it follows the Good family and the Fear family through the generations, and you get to see kind of how this. I won't say too much because I don't know what they're going to do for the movie, but you get to kind of follow like how this curse manifests in these families over the years, and it's really cool. And it's one of my favorite trilogies of the Fear Street books. I love it. I've read it. I read it once when I was 10 years old, and it was like this big like experience for me because I hadn't really read anything like that before. And then I just reread it like a week ago, and I'm actually reading the last book in the trilogy now, and it's so good, and it's so like sprawling and epic, and at the same time, it kind of feels like a I don't know, just like a soap opera with like a period soap opera with witchcraft and curses and secrets and everything. It's a lot of fun. So I don't know exactly how they're going to go about it, if they're going to just use aspects from the trilogy, the saga, or if they're just going to completely redo it, because they have made a lot of changes so far. The Sarah Fear thing, while she is part of the books, she's not really necessarily part of the origins of Fear Street. It's a little more complex in the books. So I think they're kind of simplifying it a little bit more, like condensing it. So for the movie, I'm not sure. I would really like to see a lot of my favorite scenes from the books get played out, but we'll have to wait and see. But it seems to me like when Dina, when she buries the bone and she goes, I was worried there was going to be time travel. I've been worried about that for the past couple weeks because I think that can be really cheesy and corny. Yeah. But I like that it's less like she's time traveling and more like Sarah Fear is showing her this is what I went through.
Yeah.
So
she's like living that life in her head or something, what she went through.
So it's more like she is Sarah Fear. So it's not necessarily time travel. So I like that. And I think with her seeing the people that she knows in real life or people from the other movies in these roles, it could be her projecting her own life into these characters around her, even though it might have not have actually played out like that in the 1600s. It's more like Sarah Fear's reality and Dina's reality kind of melding together. But my brother-in-law actually made a really cool point that since everything kind of happens in circles in Fear Street, and they kind of referenced that in 1994, it could be almost like a reincarnation thing where everybody is just like everything's the same all the time. There's nothing new under the sun, you know, that whole saying, or like everything is just repeated over and over and over again in this cycle because it's a curse. So that could be a cool thing too. It's like these characters are kind of just like being used by Shadyside over and over.
Okay. I like that.
Yeah. He said that and I was like, ooh, that's kind of good. I don't know. We'll see. What do you think?
What you said. All I know is when she did touch, got the skeleton hand with the rest of the, I guess, bones or whatever of Seraphir. Same thoughts. I felt like that she was being shown what happened to her, like in reality, what actually happened to her. And we just seeing Dina and her friends just playing those people out in that, back in that time. Not that they're actually time traveling, like you said, but they're just being used to be played out as far as different characters. Might be completely wrong, you know what I mean? Like with this movie, they might be capping us all up, tricking us.
Right, who knows?
So we don't know. Who knows? But that's just my thoughts. I just think that Seraphir is showing Dina what happened to her, their truth. Maybe she'll be less of a villain. Because Dina's going to probably see that it's actually the town that caused this and not actually Seraphir. I don't know. That's just my thoughts, but I don't want to like say too much because I don't know. I'm usually wrong anyway. I'm horrible at predicting shows.
Yeah.
So I just like, all right, I guess a few things, and then just watch the show and just see if some of those things come true. But I'm curious. I'm excited to see 1666. I wonder if it's going to be violent, like the first two, or is this going to be more of just storytelling, more so than just people getting murdered or something?
I heard from the director that she said the first two movies are really fun. She was like, 1666 isn't as fun. It's a lot darker, and the kills that do happen, she said, aren't as fun. They're a little more just dark. So it'll probably be a little more depressing, I imagine. And then they also talked about that priest guy with the one that's missing his eyes.
Yeah.
And how he would take the eyes of kids in the village. So, and then also when what's her name from 78? The blonde girl, the rebel girl. Alice. When she is in the cave and she starts seeing like all of those kids with no eyes.
Yeah.
Those were the kids from 1666. So she was like seeing their ghosts or something. So I imagine we're gonna see a lot of kids get killed in 1966.
I forgot about that. I totally forgot about that part because she seen Cindy when she was dead, and she was telling Cindy like you're gonna die or whatever because I've seen all these other people. But I forgot we did see those kids and they looked like they were dressed in that time. I forgot all about that. And they had no eyes.
Yeah.
Well, I'm here for it. I mean, as long as we don't actually see eyes being digged out. I mean, I think it would be cool, but you know how people are with kids, so you want to be safe. But I can't wait for 1666. I feel like it is going to be dark. Ryan Murphy said, "I wonder about the music in 1666." Me too. Or maybe there won't be any music. It's probably just
score.
Yeah, the score. That's really it.
Yeah, I like the score for 94 and 78. The act, because they use a lot of songs, obviously, but the scores themselves are really good, and they're done by the same guy who did the Scream movies.
Yep. And I didn't know that either until my friend told me about 94 last week, and I knew something sounded familiar, and I think that's why I love that scene so much in the beginning because the score and just the scene from Scream, it just came together so well, and it was great. It was suspenseful, and I said, "Scream, same composer, duh." And it's crazy because I know a lot of hardcore Scream fans, and a lot of people that I spoke to about that scene in particular didn't like it because they're so in love with Scream, where they're dear day. I'm just like, why? It's not like they're trying to copy Scream directly. It's just here's a cute little nod to a well-made classic horror film that I think that you're going to enjoy. Yeah, that's how I took it. It's not like they're trying to rip off Scream. So
no, and I think it's just you could tell it's a love letter, like you said. It's a cute nod. It's obvious, like this is this is a nod to Scream. It's not ripping it off. Nobody's keeping any secrets here. Nobody is trying to. It's clearly what it is. It's supposed to be a little fun thing for us horror fans, because I'm a huge Scream fan, and I saw that and I'm like, yes, that's awesome. When I saw her and she's running through the mall and he's coming up behind her, just like in that Drew Barrymore shot, I'm like, yes, that's Scream.
Yes.
Love it. But I thought what was cool is that they kind of subvert it, and she unmasks him right away. And then you realize that it's a totally different movie. Like, you're not going to get Scream. This is a nod to Scream, but you already know who the killer was, so what's going on? So I thought that was clever.
Yeah, same here. That's how I took it, because, I mean, if I was to direct the movie, of course I want to do a love letter to my favorite horror film or whatever, just because, like, I'm making art to put out there, and I know it's the saying, like, once you make something, it's no longer yours once you put it out there in the world, because everybody's going to judge it, have opinions, things like that. So I know I'm going to do the same. If I created like a movie, I'm definitely going to throw some Halloween knots. I do that every chance I get. So
yeah, I'm working on a book now called Autumn Crow High, and it's a spinoff of Autumn Crow. It's going to be a young adult series. Takes place in the 90s. And it is basically, it follows the teenagers of Autumn Crow High, and each book follows a different set of characters, and they all kind of intertwine, exactly like the Fear Street books. So this is kind of like almost like my nod to Fear Street. It's like an Autumn Crow version of Fear Street. Not keeping any secrets. This is my like tribute. I am going to be doing my own thing, but there are certain beats that I'm paying tribute to. Like, my main character in the book is a redhead, because if you read any of the Fear Street books, every other book, the main character is a redhead. So it's just a funny thing. And I'm like, no, I need to have a redhead, because that's just what the time period that these books were being released. So yeah, it's all, you know, just nodding to your favorite things and what you love, and that's okay.
It is. And I love that. I wish more people understood that, because I'm sure if those people had a chance to create something, I'm sure they'll do the same thing, because I mean, like, why not? Again, it's not like you're ripping it off. You're just, you know, tribute to your favorite thing that you love. So that's what I like as well. Oh man. All right. So overall, because I mean, again, we talked about atmosphere, characters, the killer in 1978 here, who we loved, who we hated, things like that. One last thing I want to ask you is, because we seen a few other killers in this movie at the very end, when we seen that big gooey thing in the lair or whatever, which was disgusting, and we have obviously seen the killers spooing from that. So we see Ruby Lane. We know about her already, because her mom talked about her, and they talked about how she killed people in 1994. But then we're not introduced, but we see Billy Butcher, the little kid with the bat. Then we see the milkman, and it's just like, I want to know about them too, because they seem interesting. I want to know their story, and I know it's very tight, so they can't tell all the stories of these killers. But did any of them like interest you at all, or are you just like, they just there?
I'm interested to know more about the dude with the metal mask, the one that's like drowning the girl in that one scene. You only see like he's got like that. It almost looks like the Death Doctor, like the plague mask in a way. And it's like this metal mask that kind of looks like a beak. I want to know what the heck it's about.
Yeah, I forgot about that. Me too.
It's just kind of like, it's weird, and I'm just like, what is it? Like, I want to know.
Would they show that in 1666? Because I mean,
maybe.
Maybe.
Yeah. One thing I'm really hoping about 1666 is that we get an epic showdown on Fear Street, because they've not referenced Fear Street a single time. That's my only gripe so far. I'm like, where is Fear Street? And I have to keep in mind, we have one more part left. It could be they're saving like the epic showdown for Fear Street. But if they don't reference Fear Street, I will be a little mad. Oh yeah, because it's Fear Street. The movie is Fear Street.
That's one thing I noticed too. And even though I haven't read the books, but I'm just like, this is called Fear Street. but they really haven't said anything about Fear Street or like it was just non-existent. Like to be honest, these movies could have been called something else, not Fear Street, if you think about it, because they don't really. So I even noticed that a bit. So hopefully they'll talk about it in 1666, and it will be this epic showdown. Look, if this is going to be the final movie, yes, I want it to be dark, but it needs to have an awesome conclusion. And you mentioned it, mentioned in the showdown. I hope that we get that as well. I feel like we need that. Yeah. Cammy said, I can't wait to see the cover art for Autumn Crow High series. Those will be on my shelf. Mine too.
It's done. It's all done. I need to get back on Instagram so I can release it. But yeah, it looks good.
I'll wait. I can't wait. Because look, Autumn Crow, first of all, this cover is amazing. The other Cameron that did this, shout out Skills. And I like the feel of it too. It's like smooth. So I want to like laminate it.
Yeah. Cameron Rubik, he did the cover for the next one, and he'll do the covers for all the other Autumn Crow High books. So it looks really cool. It's even better in my opinion.
Talented. I can't wait to see, and I can't wait to read, because this book here is really, really good. I had such a fun time with it. But again, we'll talk about that when another episode, because it's going to be all about that. I can't wait. Watch This Now said, who else wants a Ruby Lane movie? How do you feel about that? Like her enough for her to have her own movie?
I want them to do an entire Fear Street series. I'm hoping that the movies are successful enough, and even the people who grew up on Fear Street who are like, oh, I hate the movies, they don't hold a candle to the books. I'm like, still watch the movies, because you want them to do well. And if they do well enough, Netflix is going to do a series, in which case we'll probably get a lot more faithful of all of the books, which is what I want. I would really love each episode to follow a different book in the series. That'd be everything. That'd be so cool.
I'm with you. And it's funny you said that, Ryan Murphy. So I wonder if they will make more Fear Street films if this does well. I feel like they would have to, and I feel like it is doing well. Like it's on the top 10 Netflix of movies of the week every time I'm on there. It's like number 2, 3, or 4. I feel like this is going to go very well, and I think that they will continue to do other movies, if not make a series, which would be amazing. I would love that, because going back to the beginning, we were saying about, I'm such a huge fan of Goosebumps, and I was low-key disappointed in the movies just because they were more Jumanji-like.
Yeah.
Real family-friendly, which is fine.
Yeah.
But it gave me, our Goosebumps from the books and the TV series. Like the TV series was legit more scarier than the movies. Like the movies were fun, but it just didn't. I didn't have that same feel.
No.
Even some of the characters they had on there just didn't look too good to me. Like I was fine with Slappy, but I don't know. It was a lot going on in those Goosebump movies.
I wanted to see the mask.
Yes, me too. And I'm just like, maybe they'll, I don't know. Maybe they'll redo Goosebumps again. And
there is a series coming.
You're right, because R.L. Stine did say something about that. Well, they need to hurry up. I don't want to rush, but at the same time, because
exactly. Hurry up.
Yes. Because I love Goosebumps. It's just
me too.
And now I love Fear Street. Love Fear Street. Once more of the merch start coming out and they make pop figures and stuff like that, I'm on it.
Goosebumps pop figures.
That too.
I'm surprised they haven't.
Right. And it's like they're still making Goosebumps merch. So I'm surprised they don't have any pop figures of any of like the iconic characters, like Slappy, the Haunted Mask, and this wasn't made into a episode on the TV series, but even Cuddles, the little monster blood hamster, he's cute.
Yeah.
Cam, all right, so I know this is off of Fear Street. I'm sorry, y'all, but if you're a Goosebumps fans like we are, then you will understand. All right, so I had like Goosebumps, like bed sheets and like stuff to put on my wall, and in one of your videos, I'm not too sure, maybe I'm wrong, but I thought I seen I could be wrong. Maybe I'm just seeing shit and I wanted to see it. But when I was a kid, there was a Cuddles toy. And I think when you squeeze it, I'm not too sure if Monster, like not legit Monster Blood, but like a green thing come out. Do you own something like that, or I'm just?
I don't.
Okay.
Don't. But I'll be right there.
Okay.
I have a Cuddles ring. I think that's the only Cuddles thing that I own. And then I have this, which is a Slappy, and it squeezes, and like it's got slime in it.
Yes.
And I know that there was a Cuddles flashlight, which my dad's girlfriend's son had, and I really wanted it, and I kept persuading him to give it to me, and he wouldn't. Well, I don't have that. Maybe in another life I will. Yeah, they had. I'm trying to think. They did have there was a Slappy head that I remember having as a kid that had slime in it. And I think slime would come out of his mouth. So maybe they made a Cuddles one.
A Cuddles one. Yeah, I used to have one something like that.
I named my cat Cuddles when I was 3 years old, after Cuddles the hamster.
That's amazing.
Yeah,
I love that so much. I used to have a Harlan head, and it had the little arms coming out the side. Yeah. And then when you touch it, it vibrates and it starts doing the noise or whatever, and the eyes would light up. Did you have that as well?
Yeah, they're called creepy heads.
I used to hang it on my door, and the littlest touch would just set it off, and it would start vibrating. It was amazing.
Yeah. I had so much stuff, and I still have a lot of my stuff, but some of it just, it got messed up. Being a kid, you're not easy on stuff, and it gets dirty and broken, and it gets thrown away. So I am missing a lot of it. But then as a kid, I would see all of the Goosebumps stuff. I go to Kmart, just Goosebumps everywhere, and I wanted it all, but I could only get one thing every once in a while.
Same.
So now I look back on eBay and I'm like, Mom, Dad, this stuff is going for $200, $300 now. You should have bought it for me when it was $5. Should have bought two of them. One for yourself to sell later, and then give the other one to me.
So I can just cherish it for the rest of my life.
Right.
I love that. Oh my gosh. I mean, what are you going to do? I mean, good times. I love it. Before we go, though.
Oh, go ahead.
You said what?
I was saying I hope one day I can go into a thrift store and just find a bunch of Goosebumps stuff, like vintage Goosebumps toys. I always go into thrift stores looking for some, and it's like, nope, never happens.
Yeah, I get so jealous when I see some of your stuff or other videos and stuff. I'm like, oh my gosh, I used to have that. I don't know what happened to it. My mother still got majority of my stuff in her basement at her home, but I went down there recently and it's most of that stuff is gone. So I wonder if she just threw it away or it just got lost. I don't know, but
it could be in the basement somewhere.
I looked, trust me, and it's not there. So
Dang.
I don't know. Yeah, it sucks. So hopefully whoever has it now,
they're enjoying it.
They're enjoying it, or maybe it just wasn't a trash and it just got destroyed. Who knows? But those things, memories. All right. So just a few before we go, let's see if we have some questions here. Cammy says, especially Billy Barker, child killer, 1922. Yeah, I want to know more about Billy Barker. I want to know what's going on with that character as well. Ryan Murphy said, do you think they would do a new trilogy or standalone films? I would like a new trilogy, but I don't know. What do you think?
I'd like a series. I want a TV series.
Same. An hour-long TV series. An anthology?
Yeah. Like each story is different characters, but they still cross over, just like the books. That's what I want to see.
Yes. That would be great if they do that. Same with Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark. Scary Stories to Tell in the Dark, I actually enjoyed that movie. I know it was a lot different, but I liked what they did with it. I thought it was pretty creepy, and I think it's a good gateway horror film for younger kids to get into. Yeah, because it's not violent. it's not. It's scary. It does have its moments, especially with that creature at the end. The jingly man, he's creepy as hell, and the pale woman, pale lady, she was creepy too. I could see if I was a kid and watching that movie, I would be freaked out because those monsters are terrifying.
Yeah, reading the books, they scared me to death.
Yes.
Watching movies, it's like that's one thing the movie did well was like the pale lady bringing her to life. Creepy. And like the jangly man, I guess he was a combination of some other characters in the book. So while it wasn't like super faithful to the books, I still liked it. I watched it like a week ago. I'll watch it every year.
Yeah, same here. It's one of my. It's like I think I added to like one of my Halloween tradition lineup of like horror films and stuff. Which was the main, I guess, antagonist in that one was Sarah Bellows. What's with all these Sarahs? Like, why Sarah's gotta be evil? You got, Sarah Fear, and now like, what's going on, Cameron?
Who knows, man? Yeah, there's something about those Sarahs. Maybe they were all named Sarah back then. Maybe everybody's name was Mary and Sarah.
Yeah, I guess if your name is Sarah, you're a witch back in the day. I don't know. That's insane. It's licensing issue. Funko works on obtaining those years in advance. Well, maybe they should work quicker because I mean, Goosebump's been out for a very long time now, so you also got a question for you, Cameron. How many more Fear Street titles are you needing to complete your amazing collection?
Thank you for asking. I have most of the original books. I'm collecting, like, I want first printings of all of the books. I'm trying to find them in the best condition possible. So I'm missing some of the really rare ones now that I missed when I was a kid. So I'm missing Killer's Kiss, which is pretty rare. Cat, which seems to be the rarest book. Trapped. High Tide, which is a super chiller. And then of the earlier books, I'm missing Wrong Number and the book Missing. So I'm missing just how it is. It's a nice pun for me, I guess. And then I'm also missing a couple of the sagas from the Sagas spinoff. And then I'm missing a couple of the seniors books. But for the most part, I'm doing pretty well. I've got most of them. I'm just trying to find those last few books.
You'll find them, I'm sure.
Yeah, eventually.
You'll definitely find them. Ryan Murphy said, "Grown up Josh would be cool if they do in the curse / it comes back." Oh, Grown Up Josh movie. My bad, I read that wrong. I mean, I would like to see where they are now if they were to do a continuation of this series, if they were to do it like a legit series, or maybe another trilogy again. I would like to see where Josh and Dina are at now. If they're alive by the time 1666 ends. We'll see. Yeah, who knows? So I would like to see where they at in the the 2000s. That would be cool. Hopefully Dina is not so aggressive and she has a nice girlfriend, or maybe Sam is alive and they're married. I don't know. Who knows? I'd rather be a Sarah than a Karen. Yeah. Yeah. In this world, yes. I feel sorry for all the innocent Karens. And my buddy King Neogora, what's up, my guy? Okay, came in a little late. We're almost done. But yeah. Did I ask you this already, Kim, about were there anything that you've seen in the books that you've seen in 1978? In
78, this one right here, which is why I pulled it. This is Lights Out. It's number, I think it's either number 12 in the series or it's number 13. There's a super chiller that came before it. It's the whole thing. Anyway, this takes place at Camp Nightwing. And basically, it's a different story. You're following a different character who is a redhead. So I thought it was interesting that they chose Sadie Sink for the role, but it's a different name. This girl is named Holly, and she basically is coming to her uncle's Camp Nightwing. He's running this camp, and she's a counselor. She's helping out, and Some things start going wrong. Somebody's trying to sabotage the camp. Someone does get murdered in this one, and it's like the first really gnarly death of the series. I won't say what it is, but it does involve a pottery wheel, and it's awesome. And I wanted to see that in the movie, and they didn't put it in it. So
okay. Did they have that type of stuff in the 1600s? Because if that's the case, maybe they'll mix it up and throw it in there. I don't know.
Maybe they'll have a pottery wheel. I mean, I'm sure they have it in the 1600s, so maybe. But other than that, I mean, the camp in this felt a lot like the camp in the movie. The killer, you don't have the axe killer in this one. The ending of this is a lot more like Friday the 13th, and there's actually a lot of nods to Friday the 13th in this. So it's a good book. I recommend it. But it's really the only similarity is the fact that it takes place at Camp Nightwing.
Okay. I love that.
Other than that, I didn't really see any other nods to Fear Street, to the books that I know.
Were there the Axe Killer, the Nightwing Killer, was he in any of the books? Or is that like another made up killer possibly?
It's another made up killer. I'm trying to remember if there are some other axe killings in Fear Street. I believe there are. There was one in the Saga, actually. Happens off camera, but a couple people do get hacked to pieces with an axe in the Saga trilogy, which was pretty good. No, I don't think he's a character from any of the books. I think he's made up for the movies.
Okay. This is cool. It's something fresh.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, something different that people's not expecting. I can see Josh being a writer or maybe even a screenwriter for horror movies based on Sarah Fear if they want to be super meta.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. He can be like a new Stephen King or something. I don't know. Which is cool that they mentioned Stephen King in 78, so they mentioned Carrie and stuff, which is pretty dope. Like Carrie. Yeah. So
I like
good.
that. The Judy Blume book club. I like that a lot.
Yeah, like because at the end when I guess Nick, when he got the call and they're like, somebody from the Judy Blume book club wants to talk to you or something. So that is so funny.
Yeah, that was awesome.
Mm-hmm. Ryan Murphy said Karen would definitely accuse someone named Sarah of being a witch back in the 1600s. So I mean, maybe back in the day, Sarahs were Karens. I don't know.
Yeah,
but Karens were. I don't know. Yeah. I don't know. I do not know. All right. Well, that would be the end of those questions, unless anybody got anything else. But Karen, thanks again for coming on here to talk about 1978. My guy, really, really appreciate you. No
problem.
You've been great. I know you're a busy guy, and I'm sorry I kept you more than an hour, but you know,
it's cool. I was having fun. I love talking about Fear Street, so didn't even notice that it's almost an hour and a half. So I didn't know.
But again, thank you so much. This was a lot of fun, and I'm going to be doing 1666. I can never say that. 1666.
I keep wanting to say 1966.
Me too, and I think that's why I keep like stumbling over my words because I keep wanting to say 1966, not 1666. But if you're down, I plan on having my buddy Mark next week, and if you want to come back to do like one last joint video just to discuss the finale and overall the 3 films, you're welcome to come back. I would love for you to come back.
Cool. I'll check my schedule and see what I have going on, and then if everything's free, then yeah, I'd be up for that. That'd be fun. I know I'm going to want to talk about it.
Yes.
Well, definitely an hour and a half about this movie alone. So
yes. I'm definitely going to try to probably keep it the same lane for our next video, just because I don't want to spend too much time, and everybody else that's watching time. But again, thank you, Cammie. Thank you. Great discussion. This was a lot of fun. Thanks, guys. Well, thank you for joining. Thanks everybody for joining, and thanks to Cam people for joining from his channel. I really, really appreciate y'all. Y'all are too dope.
You guys are awesome. My creeps.
Yes, I love it.
Subscribe to Bobby. He's great.
Oh, thank you. And for my people that's watching, subscribe to Cameron. Book movie guy, Library Macabre, amazing stuff. I love what you're doing with Fear videos. I said it in the beginning. just so much fun, especially like your day in life videos where you're just going and, you know, picking up new books and reviewing. It's like anybody that's watching, it just seems like they're getting to know you and they're actually with you on your journey and having a good time with you. Your videos. It's a lot of fun. It's so fun to watch your videos. Good time.
Thank
you. Oh, of course. And have a great night, everyone. Have a great night. So yeah, subscribe to Bobby Likes It Spooky. That's this channel. Subscribe to Cameron Chaney, Library Macabre, Book Movie Guy on social media. Even though you say you're not really on social media as much, but you're all
I will be coming back to Instagram soon. Don't hold your breath on Twitter or Facebook, but Instagram, I will be back.
I totally feel you. I'm active on Twitter, but I had to like get rid of. I just had to make Twitter the way I wanted to be, like how I wanted to see it.
Exactly.
Because it could be negative sometimes. So I got rid of it.
Great.
You said what?
The mute button I've been great.
Oh, the mute is great. The block is great, and unfollowing is great. So I use those very frequently, just because you do get some negative Nancy's, and now it's looking the way how I want it to look. Just because I'm a type of person that's all about love and just having a good time, entertaining. I want to see that too. I don't want to be involved in craziness or whatever. So I'm happy that I got it down to that. Same thing with my Instagram. So I'm happy and looking forward for your return to Instagram and for the reveal of Autumn Crow High. I cannot wait to see that, and I can't wait to read it. I'm getting excited right now. Let me stop. All right. So guys, thanks again for watching. Subscribe to everybody that's here. That's just me and Cam, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Thanks again for watching, and see you next week for the review for 1666. Thanks again, guys. Peace out.
Bye.